Hi, my name's Gingey, and something controversial happened to my game. With the release of the WoW token into Classic Wrath of the Lich King, I thought it would be fun to make possibly the most despised thing on the Classic WoW subreddit into a heroic hero, defeating all gold farming bots in its path. We start off with building the body, and we're already off to a great start as I pack out the inside with tin foil to reduce the amount of expensive oven baked clay that I use, and then proceed to use the minimal amount of clay. This will come back to haunt me later on, but current Jimmy doesn't know that yet. For those who don't know, the WoW token can be bought with real money and sold for in-game currency in the in-game auction house for 30 days of game time, essentially allowing you to buy gold from Blizzard Entertainment directly, instead of using sketchy third-party websites who can maliciously use your data. Please sponsor me, NordVPN, because that would have been a pretty neat segue. After making a neat little disc for a body, I bake it to have a nice base to start adding to, and sand it down to give a nice surface to work with. I should probably mention that I have never used this type of polymer clay before, and I'm essentially doing that classic thing that I do called winging it. And I may or may not have lost my a couple of times. Using materials you're unfamiliar with is challenging and sometimes exciting, until it goes wrong. With the body done and it's back in the oven to bake, I start on making an unfortunately beheaded Death Knight bot's head and decided to do something special. One of his eyes is going to have a little flickering LED light inside of it. I didn't have a white or blue LED, so I had to make do with green, and when I told one of my friends about this, they said the following: "It's an orc. Orcs have fell energy coursing through them, which is green. You can thank me later, so this is me thanking you, Tui, you sexy Swedish man." Finish the orc's head by giving him that classic plate helm that every warrior, paladin and death knight remembers from just being in Northrend. Yep, that one. I then jammed 2 pieces of wire into his head, made some extra long horns, then gave them a bit of fur around the base. Then I gave the helmet those classic spikes across the top. I actually removed these spikes later, as there is going to be a giant foot standing on top of this decapitated head, but again, current Jimmy doesn't know this. Finish off with giving the helmet a bit of texture and put it in the oven to bake at 130 degrees C. And if you've ever wondered if LEDs survive being put in the oven, I was wondering the same thing. Back to that round body now, let's give him some arms and legs. I start by performing minor surgery and drill a few holes where the arms and legs will be. I then jam some aluminium wire in them and put it in a pose that I'm happy with. The head is baked now and is next in line for some minor surgery. So I take off those little spikes that I added and proceed to drill into the back of his brain. And by now you're probably wondering where that W is for the token, and let me tell you, I remade this thing about 7 times before getting it right. Ish. It's still not accurate, but I want to get this project done by the end of the weekend, and if I'm going to be honest on this video, I failed that too, and it's now taken a week. Some crude arms and legs get put on, and it's back in the oven to set. These are only so I can add plate armor later, so they don't need much detail yet. When it comes out the oven, it's time for those details. This is World of Warcraft inspired after all, and what is World of Warcraft without some amazing looking armour? I flatten out some clay and make some pretty plate pieces and place them on my very crude sculpture. I then fake in some detail by giving the armour some tiny straps. And before somebody says it's hammer time, I took the opportunity to make this monstrosity of a being into a paladin. And where is a paladin without his big heavy hammer and shield? Let's make a base. I have a piece of scrap 18mm birch plywood, which I roughen up with a belt sander, then tear up some small pieces of foam board to create some bricks or cobblestones or stuff, maybe debris. We'll go with debris. I glue the debris in place. I then glue the model in place and realise that I didn't drill a hole for the wire to go through, so I'm just going to stick it haphazardly round the back. It's time for painting. I start with a gloss black base coat for the model. The W and the shield, I'm keeping these separate so it will be easy to paint the individual pieces and place them on afterwards. I didn't know this, but plasticizers in the polymer clay prevent the gloss coat from actually drying, and I had to wait a couple days for this to dry, which added to the length of time that this project took. And I've been dreading this bit, but it's actually time for the detail painting. I don't know how you Warhammer guys and girls do it, as this model is, well, a lot bigger, and I am clearly not cut out for this. The blue I make a gradient from the center to give it some dimension. And for the body, I coat in a watered down gold. I was going to paint the individual plates with a blue to match the center of his chest, but I quickly realised that I do not have the patience for this, and make it good enough. The helmet I give a coat of grey, and then give him that classic orc green skin. Now I realise this is no longer a Death Knight bot, as it doesn't have any Death Knight characteristics, but as I said, I'm winging this, so we'll just call it a warrior. Those horns, a haphazard glob of paint, and then I add some white for his tusky teeth, and a little for his eye. The helmet gets that red border. This is what I am hoping will save the project. This is a heavy black wash to dirt everything up. I want it to seep into all of the cracks and crevices to get back that texture and shading. I do the same with the shield and the W, and because I think we've bonded together through this process, let's watch paint dry together. The black wash has hidden a lot of my sins. I do wish it could do this in real life, but this will have to do. I have one more secret weapon that I'm going to use on this project, and after seeing how it turned out, this has probably been the saviour of this entire figure. It's called Goldfinger, and I was only going to use it to highlight the corners and the borders of the model. However, it quite clearly became out of hand, and it gave it a very nice metallic appearance. I stick the W in its rightful place.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And with shield in hand, our sacred WoW token of pure holy light is ready for the close-ups. Many thank yous to you all for watching. This was a silly project meant to take only one weekend, but it almost, or actually, right now, it has taken a week. And if you liked it, then give the video a like, and subscribe for more silly little projects, and silly big projects, which will be coming soon. Bye!